Hi guys, a huge problem with the media is that they tend to amplify triviality and ignore importance. So this clip of TV host Lorraine Kelly complaining about Brexit has gone somewhat viral, and while everything she says is true, stories like this actually do damage to the cause of rejoining the European Union. Lorraine talks here about how it's been heartbreaking travelling to and from the EU, because as a British citizen, she has to queue in the non-EU lane at the passport control, which can be both longer and in some way demeaning. Have a listen.
Absolutely heartbreaking. I still don't understand. I'm trying to get over it, and we're trying to sort of all, try to work this out. But this is awful. It's absolutely awful, and it's yet another layer. All this nonsense about taking back control, and it's all going to be much easier. And here we are. It's going to cost people more money to go on their holidays, and it's also. I mean, I don't know if you've been away just now, but the last time I flew to Spain, the queues were absolutely horrific. We nearly missed our plane, and everybody was going crazy. Just the queues in the passport, the passport queues to get out.
My wife and kids both have German passports, which means when we arrive in the EU, they get to skip on the short queue, and I have to wait behind. Like as the shamed Brit in the long queue. But I mean, Lorraine, this was a sort of integral part of leaving. That you can't leave the EU and expect that everything's going to be the same as it was. And a majority of people did vote for this, so maybe we just kind of need to suck it up.
They didn't know. They didn't know when they voted. They were, as we know, I mean, we've gone over this many times, that people were lied to, people weren't given the facts, the people on the other side should have actually made better arguments and all the rest of it, and that's kind of going. What is encouraging is that maybe they might be able to do something about it, just to kind of get round it a little bit. Because, I'm fed up of going away to Europe and kind of apologising, even just like you feel embarrassed. I went to, recently, the most recent time I've been away was, I went to the Scotland game, Scotland against Germany, which was brilliant, Hugo. It was brilliant until the football started. It was amazing. but coming back, it was lovely. Coming back, though, again, we nearly missed our flight because we had all this, and it's this kind of segregation, and you feel like some kind of like Untermenschen, that you're standing in this other queue for ages, and then you have to go up to a different place to get your passport looked at and all the rest of it. And it's just awful, and it's going backwards. So hopefully, we might be able to actually do something about it, because maybe these rules aren't written in stone like we thought they were, and maybe there's a way around this. And if there's a degree of willingness, which I think there probably is on behalf of this government, I hope, that we might be able to sort that out, and we might actually start getting kids back here that want to do some work, and we welcome them. Okay.
These sort of stories, as I said, damage the cause, I should say, to rejoin the European Union. Rich people facing minor inconvenience stories seem to be loved by the media. There was a story last year about people in London who are unable to get au pairs for their children from abroad. Once again, the media love these stories, and they ignore more important ones. I'm not saying that it's not important that people are able to access au pairs, but there are more important stories directly related to Brexit that are being ignored. Like, farmers are letting food rot in the fields. That was at the beginning of Brexit. Now they're being forced to do something else. The media is covering very little of this. The extra cost of being outside the European Union, outside the single market, is having a massive impact on the poorest in society, because imports are now more expensive. Businesses are downsizing because they can't find the staff they need, and because of the extra costs related to Brexit, the extra red tape. And the impact on deprived areas is much greater now because of the lack of EU structural funds. So while it's important to talk about all the problems that Brexit has created, it seems the media prefer to listen to how rich liberals are being inconvenienced by Brexit instead of the fundamental problems of Brexit. And I think this actually turns a lot of people off. Instead of focusing on problems like the NHS, who can't get the staff they need, instead of focusing on the impact on farming and how this is driving up food prices, which is impacting the poorest in society, the media prefer to talk about, somebody's inconvenience at the airport, or not being able to get an au pair to look after their kids. Once again, these are problems, but they're not as important as more fundamental problems. And once again, there's a failing on the side of the media to focus on what's really important instead of what's considered trivial. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.